গরম গরম রুটি, সাথে সুজির হালুয়া, দুর্দান্ত জুটি, তীর আটা ময়দার সুজি, কারণ তীর ছাড়া আমার চলেই না।
Milton, a powerful hurricane with maximum sustained winds of around 120 miles per hour, currently situated about 60 miles to the west-southwest of Sarasota, moving off to the northeast at 17 miles per hour, so rapidly approaching the coastline of the west central Florida peninsula. You can see from the radar here a tremendous amount of rain spreading across the central and northern portions of Florida, heavy rainfall, flash flooding. We've had multiple tornado warnings across central and south Florida today, and that danger will continue into tonight. So one by one, first we're going to focus on the life-threatening storm surge that is about to play out along the Florida west coast. Particularly concerned about this area from Anclote River through Tampa Bay, down through Sarasota to Port Charlotte to Fort Myers. Everywhere you see in the orange here has the potential for at least 5 to 6 feet of inundation above ground level, 8 to 12 feet in the Fort Myers Charlotte Harbor area, 9 to 13 feet along portions of the coast of Manatee and Sarasota and Charlotte counties from Anna Maria Island to Boca Grande. The potential for 6 to 9 feet of inundation farther north up into the Tampa Bay region. This is life-threatening inundation. That water is going to violently be pushed onto dry land by the winds associated with Milton as it makes landfall this evening, especially near and just to the right of where the center crosses the coast. So hopefully everybody in those storm surge evacuation zones is now out of harm's way. Water is now starting to rise. Winds are picking up. Rainfall is occurring, and your evacuation routes may be cut off. So please get to a safe place if you have not done so already. Let's now talk about the wind. Again, we've seen this wind field of Milton grow as expected as the peak winds have come down a little bit. You can see the extent of the tropical storm force winds is quite large. We've seen the hurricane force wind field expand. The eye is growing in size here in the final hours before landfall. And we are expecting landfall as a major hurricane along the west coast of Florida in the next few hours. And the Milton expected to remain a hurricane as it moves across the Florida peninsula and then emerges out into the Atlantic tomorrow. Let's move on now to the rainfall threat, which is also substantial and also unfortunately focused in the same I-4 corridor from Tampa to Orlando to Daytona Beach. We're expecting widespread rainfall totals of 6 to 12 inches, isolated totals as high as 18 inches in these areas. Some places have already seen 6+ inches of rain already, and we haven't even seen Milton's center make landfall. But near and to the left of the track of the center is where we're going to see that heaviest rainfall play out. And this area highlighted in pink is where we have the highest risk of that life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash and urban flooding playing out tonight and Thursday. That includes Orlando, Daytona Beach, Tampa, St. Petersburg area, down to Sarasota, down to near Melbourne, with also risk extending north and south of that, maybe in a more isolated fashion. You will see water entering homes and businesses. People will be forced to be rescued and evacuated from flooded areas. You're going to have flooded roads that will make moving around and evacuation difficult. And it's going to be a very dangerous situation to be out and about. So again, another reason to shelter in place. And again, when you have this much rainfall and this type of flooding, places flood that don't normally flood. And so that's another thing to remember as we go through the night. Next, let's talk about the tornado threat, which has been substantial. It played out with many tornado warnings, many confirmed tornadoes occurring across central and southern portions of the Florida Peninsula this afternoon. Again, this risk extends through the overnight hours, especially in places along the southeast coast of Florida from Miami northward to Melbourne, but also includes Orlando and Tampa and all the way down to the Florida Keys. There's a tornado watch in effect for this area through 9 p.m. tonight, will likely be extended into the overnight hours. One important thing to remember is you can have multiple tornadoes or potential tornadoes impact you in the same area as these thunderstorms that we can see here on the radar imagery move over the same area on the east side of the circulation of Milton. Just because you've had one tornado warning and it goes past you doesn't mean you can't be affected by another potential tornado later on.